Hi everyone, it's Lou Collins here for Arden Creative Studio. Now today I want to take you through part 3 of the beginner scrapbooking series, and we are talking about something called white space. Now, have you heard of white space? Do you understand what white space is? And it doesn't have to be white either, a bit like white noise isn't white. So I'm going to talk you through exactly what it is and how it can help you to create more balanced scrapbook layouts. So come on down to my desk where I've got all of my Arden Creative Studio products, and we'll talk through this fantastic technique. So white space, as I say, doesn't have to be white, and you can use this technique in both scrapbooking, 12 by 12 layouts, card making, art journaling, whatever it may be. So whichever your craft is, you can incorporate this feature into it to, like I say, make your designs feel more balanced. So this particular page here, this art journal page, which I created last week, you may have seen this on the Arden Creative Facebook page as a live. So this is a small page. So once you start adding your embellishments, you're actually taking up a lot of the page. This one does not have any white space, but that's okay because I've kept most of the elements to the center. So if I wanted to put white space on a small page like this, I really wouldn't have a great deal of room for putting all of my embellishments. Everything would have to really be brought in together. So looking at this one, very similar here. We've got a little white space, which is the plain blank area with very little in the way of colour, design, detail in the background. That's not where your eye is going to be drawn to. This is where your eye is going to be drawn to. So as you can see, this page here doesn't have a great deal of white space, perhaps a little top and bottom. When you first look at the page, and you can do this now, you can close your eyes, look at the screen, and then open your eyes and see whereabouts on this page do your eyes go to first. Likely it's going to be the center. This is where the detail is. It will travel up to look down here. It will then travel down to look around here. These areas are left blank. So this kind of, you could say this is a little bit of white space, but not as large as I would like. In general, when I'm doing a 12 by 12 scrapbook page, let me just bring this one back in. The difference is that my white space here, which again is that plain blank area with nothing in it, is taking up around about 50% of my page, and that is what I would aim for, usually at least 50% of my page to have some white space. This is going to mean that you are not creating the pizza effect where you've got lots of layers, lots of embellishments, lots of colour, lots of detail, and just generally lots going on all over your page. The eye can travel around the page at a nice flow, and you don't feel like you're missing things. This also helps with things like colour coordination, colour balance, because this way you can just pick 2 or 3 colours and stick with those and not feel like you're reusing the same embellishments over and over again to be able to fill your page. Also, if you're a beginner scrapbooker, this is going to help you a little bit because it means that a large page like a 12 by 12 like this isn't going to feel quite as daunting while it's still blank. So there's lots of different ways that we can create the white space that we're looking for and balance the page out, and I'm going to show you that by creating a new scrapbook page. So today I'm going to be mixing some of the Arden Creative Studio collections. I have got some of the Hidden Creek here, and I've also got some of the second collection, the Vintage Makers. This is my photo. Now, because I'm working on large 12 by 12 inch papers, I can use quite a large photo. This is around about maybe 5 by 7 inches. So let's look first of all at a blank, almost blank page. So it's not quite a plain solid paper, but it's near enough. So if we put our photo, and I very rarely would put my photo in the middle. This is really not giving us a lot of scope for your eye traveling around the page. It's just going to come straight into the middle, look at the center, and not look at anything on the outside. So what you want to do is put your photo off center. Now, this doesn't have to be the case. Obviously, you can break absolutely any rules because technically there aren't any rules in crafting. But as a general rule, most people wouldn't put their photo in the middle of a page. They would usually put it off to one side. And this is where the rule of thirds comes in. So the rule of thirds in something like photography, for example, is that things look better on a 1:3, 2:3 ratio. So if you've got a focal point, you would put it at a third of the way into the page, or down from the top, or up from the bottom. So if you imagine, first of all, On your page, you have a grid of 9 squares. Okay, so 9 squares there, so it's split into thirds both ways, horizontally and vertically. And what you should do, ideally, and this is probably more my opinion, but to make your page look balanced, is place your photo, your main focal point, on one of these lines. Now you can place it, let's say we've got this line here, this third of the way in from the left. So you can place it somewhere along this line. Now, if you really want your page to look balanced, you'll also think about the horizontal lines as well, and place your photo where 2 of the lines would meet, which would be here, 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 or here. If you wanted to place it central, of course you would go there, but you could also come over here. If you wanted to place it vertically, you wouldn't place it in the center, you'd place it down the bottom and have embellishments coming out, and the same at the top. But either way, you're going to be sitting on one of these third lines. Now I tend to opt for bottom left. Not sure why, that's just something that I naturally do, and you'll probably find your own preference as you go, but that's a good way to start positioning your photo. That way you've also got a large amount of area here that we would call white space. You can focus all of your embellishments around your photo coming out from underneath, maybe, perhaps just a little bit of what you're putting here over in the top corner, just to echo it across so the eye does travel over here eventually, but the focal point will be here. And by having such a blank space up here, you're going to be nicely balanced with the heavy embellishments down the bottom. If you look at any scrapbook page, the majority of them, unless they've created a grid purposefully and they want to fill every square on that grid, for example, on their layout, you're likely to see something similar to this, where there is an amount of white space, so blank space, untouched by embellishments. So let's put this into practice. Now I'm going to be using this side of the Hidden Creek collection. Let's take this tab off the top, which is something we need to do first of all with the 12 by 12 and 8 by 8 papers. This just means that when you tear it out of your book, first of all, if you tear the paper out of the pad and you're not actually sure which collection it's come from, you save it for later, you've still got the details at the top. But alternatively, if you tear it and you accidentally rip it, you're likely to rip into this, not into your paper. Okay, so I have decided I'm going to do a very, very simple scrapbook page. I'm going to use this photo, and as I say, I'm probably going to come along this third line here. So already I've actually got quite a bit of decoration on the paper here. Now I could put my photo up this side, excuse the lights just shining on it there, and that would be okay, but I wouldn't feel like putting lots of embellishments here because the colour and detail in the backing paper would kind of not balance with that. So they'd be fighting against each other for the viewer's attention, for the eye. So you look at your page and you'd be like, okay, the photo's there, but then there's all this that I need to look at, but then there's all this that I need to look at, and I just don't know where to look first. And you don't want that confusing feeling. Although you may not verbalize that, that's kind of what your brain's doing. And when we see something like a scrapbook page which is aesthetically pleasing, it basically means our eyes will look at it and relax and be happy to browse over it at a nice pace. So by placing the photo here, yes, I'm covering up some of the detail and I'm okay with that. It's background detail. I'm also going to add in some more of my own detail. Now I love this from the Hidden Creek collection. So we've got some tabs here that we can cut out and we can use. I'm going to be using probably this blue, I think. I love this blue. And I'm not sure if there's this green. I love this green. Now I do really, really love the wording on here, but I'm just going to have a little bit of it peeking out from under the photo. So I'll show you by just cutting these out. So there's my 2 panels that I've cut away, and I'm going to slot them under the photo here. Just subtle layering, the colours all tie in nicely. To make these really stand out, I'm going to use some black around the edges of each of them. So I've just got myself a black ink pad. I'm just going to run around the very edges here with a blending brush. Look at how much more that now pops and stands out. So I'm going to do the same with this blue one too. And now I've got myself some nice layers. I've also cut away a die from the Vintage Makers collection, and this is the film strip die. So I'm going to just take this and tear it in half. This is a really strong black fabric paper. I might have to actually cut that. It doesn't want to tear. That's the idea with fabric paper, I think. And I'm going to just pop that overlapping my elements, but underneath the photo. Let's go to both sides there, and let's do the same. Just lay elements, have a look, step back. If you need to move something, by all means just move it and say, okay, that actually looks maybe a bit better there. There we go, nice and balanced. Happy with that. Let's bring this blue up a little bit as well, so there's not too much of the blue. Okay, now I would tend to lay everything down before I go gluing anything in case I change my mind. Now, as I say, this backing paper has got a lot of detail. I don't need a huge amount more. So I'm just going to take a few ephemera for this scrapbook page. Now, the laser cuts are fantastic. Although I said ephemera, we do have a different type of ephemera pack. But the laser cuts are absolutely wonderful because they are printed on both sides. We have all of this foliage, florals, butterflies, then we have sentiments and other icons and images that we can use. So I'm going to go through and choose a few of these, and I'm going to continue tucking them in and around this area. I think I'm going to be using probably the brown leaves, purely because these are going to stand out better against the blues and the greens that we've already got. Yeah, so I've got some greenery now tucked into this side as well. I say greenery, it's actually foliage that is brown, but it works beautifully. I'm also going to take a really nice butterfly that's slightly lighter in colour. I think that will sit nicely over on this corner of the photo. And I'm then going to look on this sheet, because here we have these fantastic stitched sentiments. Everyone has a story, which I love this one here. This is because this is my father and my two aunts, so this is my background, this is my history. So although I don't know exactly what they were doing on the day there, nobody could remember, but you know, it's still, there's a story there, and everyone has a story. So I think that is going to be perfect, and that is going to sit just over there. So already, as you can see, we have a nice collection of embellishments building up here. Now, this isn't too detailed. It's actually quite a plain layout. I certainly have done much more detailed ones in the past, taken a lot more time over layouts before, but if you're in a hurry but you still want to document those photos, working with white space is really going to benefit you, because you're just focusing on a small area. Balance that small area out. You can see here, this doesn't look like an unfinished layout. Now, if you do really struggle with the idea of leaving everything completely plain, one little tip, something that you can do, is take an embellishment. So I think I'm going to take a small embellishment. So I think this brown leaf here in the laser cuts will work really well. And because the majority of my embellishment is down in this bottom corner, up in this top corner, I'm going to put a leaf, and then I'm also going to take something green. So we've got a green ticket here that will work really well, and layer these two up like so, and I will just staple those, glue those on. I feel like I need a little bit of the blue now as well, so I might need to go to another one of the collections. So looking at the Hidden Creek collection, which is what the backing paper is, I've got a blue butterfly here. This is going to be absolutely perfect. It's going to work really well. I just pop this up here as well. So I've got a collection of 3 laser cuts. That brings that blue up there too. I might also want to add maybe a little bit of stitching or something to the bottom of this blue panel here, or maybe bring these leaves round. I think that works a little bit better. So now you can fiddle around. You can, I would say, walk away from your layout, lay everything down, walk away, and then come back and say, okay, does it look right? You know, does everything look balanced? Am I happy with everything? And if so, you can glue everything down. So hopefully that is an explanation for you for how to use white space within your paper crafts. So not just scrapbooking, within your art journals and such as well. Any questions, pop them in the comments, and we will of course be checking and replying regularly. And if you enjoy videos like this based on scrapbooking, art journaling, mixed media, card making or paper crafts, don't forget to of course subscribe to the Arden Creative YouTube channel, and we will hopefully see you again very soon for another video. Take care everybody. Bye bye.